When I told my husband's parents they couldn't have access to our bank account, his dad yelled, "After everything we've done for you," and my husband just mumbled, "Maybe having a joint account wouldn't be so bad." That night, I made up my mind the next morning. They checked their bank apps and started screaming when they saw what I did. This happened about 2 years ago, but I still think about it. Often, I'm in my 30s and live in North Carolina. I'm quiet, good with numbers, and work in finance. My life was steady and peaceful. I had a good job, a nice apartment, and a simple routine I enjoyed. Then, I met Gavin. He was sweet, a little shy, with a laugh. I used to think was adorable. We dated for a year, then got married. He didn't earn much. He worked part-time at a local brewery chasing some dream about craft beer. I didn't mind. I thought we'd work it out together, like partners do. But I didn't expect his family, Frank and Evan. I remember the first dinner with them. Roasted chicken, green bean casserole, peach, cobbler. Ivan smiled too much. Frank barely spoke when I talked. They always seemed offended. I said, "I was raised by a single mum." Frank replied, "No wonder you're so independent." I said, "I love my job." He said, "Women today love their jobs more than family." Yvonne just gave me this look like she was praying for me. I laughed it off. I figured they were just old-fashioned. I didn't think they'd become a problem. I was wrong. They helped pay for part of the wedding. I was thankful, but every dollar came with control. They picked the venue, made guest list suggestions, and Frank gave a speech about how strong marriages need strong husbands. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to make a scene. I told myself Gavin was different, and for a while, he was before the wedding. We agreed to keep our finances separate. We split the bills, though. I paid most of them. It worked at first, but after the wedding, Gavin started spending more time with his parents. He started repeating what they said. "We should save more. We should think about kids. It's weird we don't have a joint bank account." I told him I liked how things were. I was careful with money. I had savings plans, maybe even buying a house someday. I didn't want to join accounts until we were on the same page. He said, "Okay," but I knew it bothered him. One Sunday, we went to dinner at his parents' place again. The food was the same. The tension was worse during the meal. Frank said, "Maya, we think you need to stop acting like an outsider." I said, "What do you mean? We helped you get married. We've always supported Gavin, and you won't even give him access to a joint bank account." I looked at Gavin. He just stared at his plate. Frank went on after everything we've done. "The least you could do is trust your husband with money." I asked Gavin, "Is that what you think too?" He mumbled maybe a joint account wouldn't be so bad. I was shocked we had agreed on this. Now he was changing everything just because his dad said so. I didn't yell or cry. I smiled, and I started planning that night. After Gavin went to bed, I stayed up. I checked every account and document I made, sure everything I built was safe the next morning. I got to work early. I moved all the money from our shared savings money. I put that into a private account under my name. Only I closed the shared credit card gave never helped. I removed his name from any access to my personal accounts. I changed all my passwords. I told my work to deposit my pay into my new account. I even backed everything up just in case I asked our landlord to put the lease in my name. Only she agreed. I had great credit and always paid on time that morning around 10 a.m. Gavin texted, "Hey babe, something's wrong with the bank app. I can't see the account." I ignored it. Then he called. I didn't pick up. Then his mum called. Then his dad. Frank left a voicemail. He was furious. "This isn't just your money. This is a marriage. We gave you everything. And this is how you repay us." I listened once, then I sat back and let it all sink in. That night, Gavin came home. "Can we talk?" he said. I nodded. "Why, you moved the money? Why do you close the card?" "My dad's freaking out," I asked. "Why is your dad freaking out about our bank accounts?" He didn't answer. I said, "You wanted a joint account, but really your parents wanted my money." He tried to defend them. "They just want to make sure we're secure. No, they want control and you were going to hand it over." He said nothing. I looked him in the eyes. I did what I had to do. I protected myself that night. He didn't sleep at home for the next 3 days. He stayed at his parents' house. I didn't call or text, I just moved on with my life. He opened our old shared budget document and renamed it. Do you even love me? Really mature. I kept going, went to work, walked my dog, slept peacefully. But then weird stuff started happening. I found a church flyer under my windshield that said, "Wives, submit to your husbands." It was from Frank and Avon's church. I started getting strange emails. No message, just subject lines, like "repent" or "marriage is forever." I knew it was them. A neighbour told me Gavin had been sitting outside our place at night, just watching from his car, lights off, not coming to the door, not texting. Then my boss called me in. She said she got a weird voicemail from someone claiming I was using company tools for personal reasons. It was Frank. He used his real name. I laughed. My boss and HR didn't take it seriously. But that's when I realised this wasn't about money anymore. They wanted to ruin me that night. Gavin came to the apartment. He still had a spare key I forgot to take back. He walked in. Like everything was normal. I was sitting on the couch with a face mask on, watching TV. "Hey," he said, like it was no big deal. "You need to leave." I told him, "Can we just talk?" I paused. The show, he sat at the edge of the couch, not looking at me. I talked to a lawyer. He said about marriage stuff. He told me I might be able to get part of the savings. If we split up, I stared at him. "You didn't earn any of that. But because we're married and this is North Carolina," I stopped him really. "You got a lawyer because your dad told you to." He didn't say anything. Then he said, "They just want to make sure I'm not being taken advantage of." I laughed so hard I couldn't stop. "You taken advantage of? I paid the rent, I bought the groceries, I helped with your student loans, I even paid off your credit card." He looked uncomfortable. "That was a gift." He said, "No, that was me taking care of someone I loved, and now you're standing here talking about what you think you're owed." He didn't respond, just looked down, then he tried to hug me. I stepped back. "Leave." Now, 2 days later, I got a letter at work, filed for financial mediation. He wanted someone to split our money fairly, but I was ready. I had all the proof receipts, bank transfers, payment, records, texts where he thanked me for paying the bills. I got a lawyer and paid in full. We filed a reply with 68 pages of documents, showing Gavin paid less than 12% of our expenses. He had no right to my personal accounts. But it wasn't over. Frank started posting on Facebook, calling me an ungrateful daughter-in-law who ruined his son with money and pride. He even tagged me. Avon sent me an email saying she was heartbroken and that I was going against God's plan for marriage. She also said they were praying about how to handle me creepy. Then I got a call from Gavin's sister Rachel. We'd only met once. She lived far away. I just wanted to say, "I know what you're going through." Really, they tried the same thing with my husband. Said Mum needed emergency access to his bank account. It started small. Then they tried to sell our car without asking. "You got away." "Yeah, that's why we moved. You're not crazy." Stay strong. A few weeks later, I got another letter, this time from a different lawyer. Frank and Avon were suing me. They said I tricked Gavin into giving me money and caused them emotional distress by not giving them reasonable access to our finances. It was ridiculous, but it wasn't about money anymore. It was about power. They wanted to make it official. They wanted something legal to say I was the bad guy. But I was already way ahead of them when I got the letter from Frank and Ivan's lawyer. I laughed right there in my kitchen. They said I caused emotional distress and took money unfairly, like I was some scammer who tricked Gavin just to steal from his parents. Even worse, they added screenshots from Venmo stuff like $40 for dinner or $25 for Gavin's medicine. That was their proof they supported me. That same week, something unexpected happened. Rachel flew in from Ohio. She asked me to meet for coffee, said she had something important. We met at a small cafe. She looked serious. "Do you know about the trust fund?" She asked. "What trust fund?" I said. She showed me documents on her phone, screenshots of legal files, Turns out Frank had set up a trust fund in Gavin's name years ago, but only Frank and Yvonne could manage it. Gan couldn't touch it without their approval. Rachel found out about it during her own fight with them. Years ago, they control it, she said. It was supposed to help all of us, but they rewrote it, so only Gavin gets it, and only under their control. So they have all this money in Gavin's name. I said, but they're coming after mine. They don't want your money. Rachel said, they want control over you, over Gavin, and he's too scared to stop them. Then everything started making sense. They didn't just want a joint bank account. They wanted access power. Once I was tied in, they'd start shifting money, signing things and controlling me the same way they control Gavin. This wasn't just manipulation, it was a plan. And Gavin didn't even know Rachel believed Frank had lied to him, told him the fund was empty or used for the wedding or invested somewhere. Gavin always felt like his parents didn't help him enough. He had no idea they were holding his own money. Hostage, it explained everything. The guilt trips, the obsession with the joint account, the anger when I moved my money. Frank and Avon weren't protecting Gavin from me. They were hiding the truth from him. After that coffee, I went home and made a list, not to burn everything down, but to hit them where it hurt. I wasn't just going to defend myself, I was going to expose them. Then something even wilder happened. I opened Gavin's old laptop, the one he used during our marriage. He'd left it with me, said I could keep it. I was clearing it out when I noticed a strange program running. It looked like spyware. I checked deeper. It was a program that lets someone watch the screen access files, even turn on the webcam without anyone knowing. I felt sick. The activity logs traced back to Frank's IP address. I recognized it from when he used our Wi-Fi. Once they were watching us, I shut the laptop down and took it to a tech friend. He confirmed everything. The spyware had been installed after the wedding. It had been running for months. I told my lawyer. She was shocked. We filed a cyber-stalking report and started getting a subpoena for internet records. Then Gan reached out. He said, "Can we talk?" I didn't know they were doing all this. I agreed to meet. But only with Rachel there too. We met in a public park. Gan looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. "They told me you were taking everything from me," he said. "But Rachel told me about the trust fund." I nodded and the spyware. I said his face went pale. What they were watching, the laptop, the one you used all the time. I had no idea. I believed him. He looked completely broken. Rachel stepped in. Gave in. "You're not safe with them. They're not helping you. They're using you." He sat on a bench and buried his face in his hands. I didn't say I was sorry, I wasn't. But I did feel something. A few days later, Gavin sent me a screenshot of an email Frank had accidentally copied him. It was meant for Yvonne, subject, "Plan B, get her out message. If she doesn't give in, we'll push. The she's unstable angle, say she's emotional, get people to back us up, maybe claim she's cheating. She has no family, near no kids, she'll fold." Gavin sent it with one line. "I'm sorry, I didn't know they'd go this far. I read it 5 times, didn't cry, didn't scream. I smiled because now I had what I needed. I wasn't going to keep it quiet. I wasn't going to let lawyers deal with it behind the scenes. They wanted to shame me in public. I'd return the favour. Gavin agreed to a marriage mediation, a meeting with a neutral mediator to try to work things out or end things cleanly. We met in a small downtown office. Simple room, long table, and sat across from me. His lawyer on one side, mine on the other. The mediator asked if anyone wanted to speak. First, I said, "Yes, I have some new evidence to share." I handed over 2 things. The email from Frank about framing me. The cyber-stalking report we filed with the police. Gavin stared at the email, his face went white. "This is real," he whispered. I nodded. "My in-laws have been watching us lying, trying to ruin me." My lawyer added, "They also filed a fake lawsuit. We have full proof it's false." Gavin's voice shook. "I didn't know, I swear." The mediator asked, "Are they involved in this mediation?" I said, "Not yet, but they should be." A week later at the next session, Frank and Avon walked in smiling like they were heading to church. What Frank and Evan didn't know was that Rachel had come back this time With proof, she brought a stack of documents papers, showing she had removed herself from the family trust fund bank transfers that Frank had forced through statements, showing some might have faked her signature years ago. The mediator asked if we all wanted to continue the session together. I nodded. Then Rachel stood up. "I want to speak first," she said. She looked straight at her parents. "I'm done pretending you've controlled us for years. You ruined my first marriage. You tried to destroy. Maz, you lied about Gavin's money. You spied on them through a laptop, and then you tried to fake a mental breakdown to take control of everything." Frank jumped up. "Watch your mouth," he barked. "Rachel didn't move you for my name, Dad." The room went still. The mediator gasped. Even gave and looked shocked. Then Avon spoke in a cold, fake, gentle tone. "We only did what we had to do to protect our family. Maya doesn't respect Gavin. She cuts him off from us." I finally spoke up. "No, I supported Gavin. I pay for everything. I gave more to him than you ever did. You just wanted control over me." Frank's face turned red with anger. "You think you're better than us because you have a job. Some money, we gave you a wedding." "I didn't ask for it," I shot back. "You pay for it so you could own us. That's not love." Silence. Gavin looked up, trembling. "You told me the trust fund was gone," he said to his dad. "Was that a lie?" Frank didn't answer. "Was it a lie?" Yvonne tried to speak, "Sweetheart," just as Stupp gave and yelled, and then he broke down crying. Frank. And Avon walked out. No apology, no excuses, just silence. Frank muttered something under his breath, like he was the victim. Rachel stood next to Gavin while he cried. I stayed in my chair. The mediator called for a break outside. Rachel turned to me and said quietly, "I think you saved him even if he didn't deserve it." I nodded. "Maybe, but I didn't do it for him. I did it for me." After that, the lawsuit disappeared. My lawyer pushed back hard, threatening to counter-sue for harassment and cyberstalking. Frank and Yvonne gave up fast. The cyberstalking report was still being looked into, but they knew I had proof and that I wasn't afraid to go public with it. Gavin and I officially signed separation papers. He'd apologised, he cried, he seemed truly sorry, but I didn't take him back. Some damage can't be undone. Rachel cut off all contact with their parents. She told me later that Frank got kicked out of his church after word got out about the spying. Turns out even judgmental people draw the line at hidden cameras. I moved to a new city, got a promotion, bought myself a little house. Quiet, safe mine. Sometimes I still feel tired. Not sad, just worn down, because it wasn't just about a bad marriage or pushy in-laws. It was about being lied to in the name of love. Being controlled and called, protected, being manipulated like it was some kind of family tradition. But I saw it, and I said, no, that's what I'm proud of. People like Frank and Evan don't panic when you yell. They panic when they lose control. And that morning, when they checked their accounts, when they realised their games had failed, that's when they screamed, not because they were hurt, but because they finally knew the truth. They couldn't control me anymore, and they never would again.